Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure and have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
Welcome to part 2 of the Berlin Wall prophecy, the healing of the deadly wound. Who would have thought it, that the Berlin Wall is right there in the prophecies of the Bible? I'm holding here a chunk of the Berlin Wall. A friend of mine was in Berlin the night that the wall fell, November 9, 1989. He cut a piece of the wall for himself, twice this large. He was kind enough to cut it in half. He had read my book, A Message for the President, in which I had stated 3 years before this that the Berlin Wall would come down, the two Germanys would be reunited, and that would be the event that would mark the beginning of the one world governmental system called the New World Order. Now, we're studying right now, how did I know that the Berlin Wall was going to come down? Where is this in the Bible, and how did I know that would be the event that would trigger the New World Order, the one world governmental system? Well, we're continuing to talk today because I want you to know how I knew that, because it's going to affect you, everything about you, your life, your home, your family, your business, just like it's going to affect me. Now remember, last lesson we talked about the symbols given for modern nations back in Daniel chapter number 7. Now, when we move from Daniel 7 to the New Testament prophecy about the healing of the deadly wound, the same symbols are used. Let's go to the prophecy right now. It's found in Revelation chapter number 13, verse number 1 and 2. Here's what John the Revelator stated. He was on the Isle of Patmos. He was having a vision. And here's what he said. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Now remember, last lesson we learned that a beast is a kingdom or a nation. So I saw a kingdom rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So this is not good. And the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So we've seen these symbols before. We've got 10 horns, we've got the leopard, we've got the bear, we've got the lion. And notice, in particular, before we leave this scripture, notice the last phrase. The dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, this is a picture of one world government, and it specifically says that his power will come from the dragon. We're going to learn later on that the dragon is nothing but Satan himself. So the present move toward one world government is straight from Satan. It is not the will of God. It is coming from the powers of darkness. Now, let's remember the symbols of Daniel are used here in Revelation, even though the book of Daniel was written 650 years before the book of Revelation. Daniel was written around 550 BC. The book of Revelation was written by the Apostle John around 96 AD. Yet now, here's what's so amazing. Daniel and John use the exact same symbols. There's a lion, there's a bear, there's a leopard, there's the 10 horn beast. So how did they get this? I mean, 700 years apart. How did this happen? Well, the explanation is really very simple. You see, the same one wrote both books. He simply changed secretaries. God is the author of the scriptures, but he simply used human men in order to put down what he told them to write. Now, here's what we should notice. The four beasts of Daniel 7 merge into one beast in Revelation chapter number 13. Remember, beasts are kingdoms, are nations. In Daniel, there were four separate beasts. In Revelation, there's one beast possessing all the characteristics, at least almost all the characteristics, of the four separate beasts of Daniel 7. Now, we learned that the four beasts of Daniel 7 are four nations. But apparently, this is telling us that these four nations are going to merge together and create one big kingdom. And that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to find that out and a whole lot more in this study of the Berlin Wall prophecy.